في 47 دولة حول العالم، وفي أشد الأحوال صعوبة كانت الإغاثة الإسلامية في قلب الحدث. وصلنا إلى أكثر من 120 مليون إنسان مستحق لتبرعاتكم. نحظى بدعم الحكومات المانحة وكبرى وكالات الأمم المتحدة. تبرع الآن للإغاثة الإسلامية عبر العالم. زكاتك سعادة.
مرحبا، أهلا وسهلا فيكم وسلام بالجميع في حلقة جديدة من حلقاتنا خير الناس انفعهم للناس. هذا البرنامج برعاية إسلاميك ريليف كندا، نشكرهم على دعمهم المتواصل. في هذا البرنامج نتحدث عن كيف يساعد الإنسان أخاه الإنسان حول العالم، كيف يقدم له ما يستطيع ليرفع من معنوياته، ليعطيه القدرة على الحياة. اليوم سنتكلم عن أخوة لنا اضطهدوا في أصقاع الأرض، الروهينجا. هذه المجموعة التي بدأنا نسمع عنها في الآونة الأخيرة منذ عام 2017 بعد أن قامت قوات الجيش في ميانمار بطرد أكثر من 800 ألف شخص من منازلهم وتهجيرهم وقتلهم وقتل نسائهم وأطفالهم بطريقة بشعة وحرق منازلهم. للأسف الروهينجا عاشوا وما زالوا يعيشوا اضطهاد منذ 1974 ولم نسمع عنهم. سنتكلم عن هذا الشيء. في 1982 تم إصدار قانون في ميانمار يمنعهم من الحصول على الجنسية، وهذا يعطيك أقل ما يقام به اضطهاد ضد هذه العرقية. معظمهم 99.9 منهم من المسلمين، ويعيشون في منطقة اسمها راكان ستيتس في جمهورية ميانمار أو بورما كما كانت تسمى سابقا. قال عنهم الساوث أفريكان أكتيفيست توتو، قال إنه الروهينجا they facing the most compromise and they're the restrict from freedom and movement state according to what he said قبل 4-5 سنوات. طبعا الانترناشونال كريمنال كورت الآن بيعملوا انفستيجيشن على الأشياء اللي صارت ضد الإنسانية مع اخوتنا في الروهينجا، ولكن للأسف ما زال العالم في غيبوبة أمام بعض مشاكلنا. في البداية أريد أن أرحب بأحد الضيوف الكرام الذين دائما أفتخر أن يكون معي، أخي يزن نصر الدين، المدير التنفيذي لمؤسسة إسلاميك ريليف في أوتوا. أهلا وسهلا فيك يزن.
أهلا وسهلا دكتور جمال، حياكم الله وشكرا على استضافتنا مرة أخرى وعلى هذه الحلقة فعلا يعني مهمة جدا. هذا الموضوع جدا مهم.
طبعا أينما أدرنا وجوهنا ووجدنا مشاكل حول العالم نجد إسلاميك ريليف. من هذا المنبر أنا أرحب بك ونرفع القبعات لما تقوم به من عمل إنساني حول العالم. نشكركم شكر جزيل باسمنا جميعا لأنكم تقوموا بما يجب أن نقوم به نحن، فيعطيكم ألف ألف عافية إن شاء الله.
الله يعافيكم، والله هذا أقل الواجب، وواجبنا يعني تجاه إخواننا وأخواتنا البورميين في الروهينجا. ويعني فعلا يؤسفني يعني مقدمتك كانت فعلا قوية، وحتى يعني كان إضافة بسيطة لهذا المسؤول الأمم المتحدة الحالي أنطونيو غوتيرس حكى يعني the Rohingya are the most discriminated people in the world. فبشهادة يعني United Secretary General الحالي، فيعني فعلا هذه مشكلة يعني مهمة وعويصة، ولكن بإذن الله نحاول إحنا نساعد كل الإنسانية والبشرية وإخواننا وأخواتنا في كل أنحاء العالم إن شاء الله.
أنا حابب أبدأ بفيديو بسيط عن الإسلاميك ريليف وما يقوم به، وبعدين ننطلق عن الأعمال اللي قمت فيها في ميانمار
إن شاء الله.
بسم الله. مناظر جدا جدا صعبة، ولكن هذا هو الواقع، وهذا ما ترونه على أرض الواقع. في البداية حابب أذكر أنه سيكون معنا أخ من الروهينجا الذين يقومون بأعمال أيضا إنسانية في القسم الثاني من هذه الحلقة، ولكن في البداية أبدأ معك أخي يزن. ما هي أرض الواقع؟ ماذا ترونه هناك كل يوم من معاناة لإخواننا من الروهينجا، وخاصة في الكامبز اللي الآن موجودة في بنغلاديش وتايلاند؟
نعم، الله يبارك فيكم وشكرا على الاستضافة مرة أخرى. طبعا نعم، لا شك زي ما أنت قلت، الله يبارك فيك وبدأت في مقدمتك، إنه هذه مشكلة أول شيء مش وليدة للأسف من السبعينات. ثاني شيء إنها متجددة، كل شوي بتتجدد وعويصة، وكل شوي بتسوأ وبتسوأ وبتزداد سوءا وظلما. الإخوة طبعا إحنا على نطاق العمل اشتغلنا في داخل ميانمار، واشتغلنا في خارج ميانمار في أكثر منطقة لجوء إلا الإخوة البورميين أو الروهينجا في بنغلاديش. فما شفناه هو بصراحة فعلا مسعق، يعني فعلا تصعق يعني بما شفناه فعلا داخل الميانمار وما شفناه أيضا في بنغلاديش. ابتداء في الميانمار أصلا تقريبا في الشعب البورمي ابتداء يعني كان كله ستيتلس يعتبر، لأنه ليس له هوية، ليس له جنسية، حالته يعني مشردين. فستيتلس هم في بلدهم أصلا، وهذا البلد أصلا اقتصادا ضعيف جدا، انفراستراكشر عنده ضعيف، الخدمات فيه ضعيفة، الخدمات للمواطنين فيه نفسها ضعيفة. خرجوا من حكومة عسكرية لحكومة، بديش احكي ديمقراطيه، شبه ديمقراطيه، ودخلوا الان في حكومه عسكريه. فالوضع سيء جدا كبلد اصلا، يعني جو البلد نفسه مش جو نمو سليم. وهذا طبعا اثر اكثر على اخوتنا الروهينجا في اصلا في داخل البورما يعني او الميانمار. فكانوا هم ستيتلس ووضعهم سيء. طبعا بدات الاحداث اكثر من سنه، واسوأها كان في 2017. فقبل ال 2000 فوضعهم شرحت لك صعوبة حياتهم أصلا داخل الميانمار قبل الأحداث الدامية والحارقة بال 2017. فلما دخلنا أحداث 2017 فعلا قرى هدمت. يعني إذا بتروح في بعض الخرائط الموجودة على مواقع الأخبار زي BBC، بتشوف يعني والله زي يمكن نكبة يعني فلسطين، كثير 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 من القرى destroyed أو حرقوا تقريبا. من مصدر الهيومن رايتس واتش 280 من 288 قرية في داخل احنا لساتنا نحكي الآن داخل البورما نفسها، الميانمار نفسها، حرقوا ودمروا وأهلها هجروا. من اللي تبقى تقريبا 578 قرية، وهدول برضو فيهم ناس استقبلوا اخوانهم نفسهم، يعني بني جلدتهم في هذه الفيليجز، وفي منهم برضو هجروا. ف بعض شركائنا اللي راحوا شافوا قرى محروقة عن بكرة أبيها، مهجورة ومسروقة، اللي ما انحرق انسرق. شيء فظاعة غريبة عجيبة يعني في هذه القرى. ندخل الآن اللي تهجروا قبل 2017 يمكن كان عددهم تقريبا 200,000 بناء على الأحداث السابقة، نضاف عليهم كمان تقريبا 700,000 750,000، صاروا تقريبا مليون إلا شوي، يعني تقريبا هذا عدد سكان أوتوا تقريبا. وصنفت مكاتب اللاجئين اللي في البنغلاديش في منطقة اسمها كوكس بازار، المخيم اللي اسمه كوتوبالونج، هذا صنف انه شو اسمه، انه the most يعني the world's largest refugee camp and condensed برضه، يعني انه مش بس انه اكبر مخيم ومحشى ناس يعني. وهذه رحنا عيناها وشفناها، لعله في يعني باخر حلقه في كيس ستدي حتشوفوا كيف الاخوه راحوا شافوا هاي المخيمات. الوضع فعلا مأساوي، اطفال يعني بلا مدارس، وللاسف يعني ممنوع عليهم من المدارس، واذا درسوا بتكون فترات مؤقته، خيم مش ثابته، مع اي مطر بهاي الخيم للاسف تتاثر. كان في حريقه لسه، عفوا في بدايه السنه كان في حريق كبير وحرق كثير من هذه المخيمات. ويعني فعلا وضع مأساوي. المياه يعني حدث ولا حرج، والسانيتيشن مش واصله صح. كثير في يعني جمعيات عم بتحاول تساعد الإخوة الروهينجين، بس لكنه لا يكفي كونه فعلا صنف رسميا إنه world's largest refugee camp and mostly dense.
يعني تحطيم ارقام قياسيه لكن بالاشياء الاسوء، اكبر ريفريجي كامب، اسوء ريفريجي كامب، اكثر اثنيك كلينسينج، اكثر عدد من المهجرين من مكان واحد. يعني للاسف مأساة بحد الكلمة يعني.
فعلا. يعني إذا بشهادة الأمين العام للأمم المتحدة يعني اللي هو أنطونيو غانتيرز، يعني قلت لك هو حكى إنه this يعني الطائفة هذه هي أكثر طائفة مميز ضدها على وجه الأرض. وزي ما أنت قلت، وهو هذا باعترافه يعني هو نفسه biggest refugee camp mostly dense. يعني حتى إنه مش إنه الخيمة على الخيمة، إن شاء الله حتشوفوا بالكيس ستادي والقادمة إن شاء الله إنه وضع سيء، وقصص رهيبة. يعني القصص اللي سمعناها الطاقم تبعنا يعني والله قصص يعني يشيب لها الشعر. الأطفال ترافيكينج وتشايلد ترافيكينج، نو إديوكيشن. حكومة البنغلاديش راضية لهم الإديوكيشن، مش راضية لهم حتى تعترف فيهم، ويرموا هون ما بدهم. الإخوة في يعني بلد ميانمار مش عاوزة تستقبلهم، بتقول وبنغلاديش مش عاوزيتهم، هذا برمي على هذا، هذا برمي على هذا. شفنا طاقمنا برضه شافوا هم يعني قاطعين باخرات كانت على في نهر الراكاين اللي بتوصل للبنغلاديش. فلما وصل الباخرة على جانب البنغلاديشي، هذا يعني من طاقمنا شافها بعينه، وهذه قصة حقيقية. فبكيوا، فقالوا لهم بكيوا، قالوا لهم استغربوا انه انتوا ليش عم تبكوا؟ الحمد لله انتوا وصلتوا لبر الامان، يعني المفروض تكونوا فرحانين، وصلتوا على بر الامان. قال لهم لا، احنا بنبكي لانه قرايبنا واخواننا ويعني مثلا واحد اخته او قريبه او كذا، او في الباخرات الثانيه انه كلهم اغرقوا. فمش ببكي فرح، يعني ببكي فرحا على الوصول، لا ببكي لانه الباخر هاي، او مش عفوا الباخر، القارب اللي وصل راح بداله خمسه، يعني ما غرق، يا غرق يا غرق يا ما وصل. على كل حال، وهذه قصص حقيقيه يعني. وللاسف ترافيكينج، وحتى تصورت برضه من القصص الاخرى عشان يوصلوا لبر الامان ويهربوا من الميليشيات اللي بتضربهم او تحرق لهم بيوتهم، بيضطروا يرشوا ناس عشان يركبوا قارب ويعبروا للحالة الثانية. وهذا القارب أحيانا بيسلمهم، وأحيانا ما بوصل، وأحيانا بينزلهم في مناطق عراء وبقول لهم خلص في دورية ويلا روحوا.
انا 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 كنت بدي احاول اسالك وضعهم في بنغلاديش، لانه يعني يعتبر دولة مسلمة ودولة شقيقة، ويعني لهم اقارب واصدقاء ولكن انت اجبت السؤال انه كلاهما يعني لا هذا بدهم اياهم ولا القسم الثاني يريدهم.
للأسف. يعني بصراحة هذا شيء معيب على العالم، إنه نحن كعالم لا يجب أن نظلم المظلوم. يجب أن نقف مع المظلوم ونشد أزره ونقف معه ونعمل له البرامج ونساعده ونحاول نخليه يوقف على رجليه لحتى ما يعني تنحل مشكلته. ونوعا ما احنا هذا اللي بنحاول نعمله في الإسلامك ريليف. يمكن سألتني بالأول شو اللي قدمنا لهم. حاولنا نوعا ما نأمن لهم الكرامة والحياة. يعني طبعا لا شك لو قد ما تقدم لهم مش يعني حيرجوا حياة طبيعية، بس بتعمل عليك. يعني الموضوع دائما بيد الله. قدمنا لهم من اصلا بدينا احنا شغل كاسلامك اللي في كندا بال بشكل عام، حتى في يعني ميانمار في 2008 كان في سايكلون وضرب المنطقة هذيك، وخاصة منطقة الراكاين. أمنا وقتها أيامها، هذا قبل الأحداث بال 2008، أمنا شلترز وهايجين كيتس ومساعدات مي، ومساعدات إغاثة عاجلة وبرضه شلترز. هلا لما بدأت الأحداث طبعا اشتغلنا على نطاقين داخل الراكاين ستيتس اللي هي داخل ولاية الراكاين، وبرضه في البنغلاديش. في الراكاين ستيتس طبعا بنينا شلترز وحوينا يعني كثير من الناس اللاجئين داخل البورما نفسها. طبعا وزعنا عليهم البيسك نيدز والارجنت نيدز، مثلا الفود والشلترز واللانترين او السانيتيشن فاسيلتيز. هذا كله طبعا في داخل البورما. وطبعا في منهم يعني هي على مراحل، في منهم هجروا ضلوا ببورما، وفي منهم هجروا وراحوا على بنغلاديش، وفي منهم هجروا في الراكاين ستيت اكثر من مره. هلا برضه طبعا في وطبعا على مراحل وعلى سنوات عملنا ريفيربشنج للسكولز. كان في طبعا المدارس للاسف ما كانت برضه تسلم، كانت تحرق المدارس، فنروح نعمل عملنا لهم ريفيربشنج او بيلت سكولز. برضه عملنا موبايل هيلث كلينكس، كانت كثير جدا مهمه، لانه كان قريه تضطهد يروح اهلها على قريه ثانيه مع اصابات مع كذا، فعملنا لهم موبايل كلينكس وتتوجه من مكان الى اخر. هلا هذا كله طبعا داخل زي ما قلت لك الراكاين ستيت، لانه في كثير لاجئين يعني تحرق قريه بروح على قريه ثانيه داخل البورما او الميانمار او الراكاين ستيت. هلا
احنا شو ممكن نشوفه عشان الناس تشوف على ارض الواقع شو اللي بتسويه؟
الكيس ستدي هو بس فعلا يعني هو داخل البنغلاديش، زاروا الاخوه وعاينوا، وهون برضه تم انه على عجاله، وهذه اختم فيها، انه ساعدناهم باكثر من education، من برضه emergency items فود شلترز، بنينا لهم مخيمات، اعطيناهم هايجين كيتس خاصه الان اثناء الكوفيد، وساعدناهم يعني بشكل عام الامرجنسي ريليف.
الله يوفقك. خلينا نشوف انا وياك والمشاهدين الكيس ستادي اللي سوتها اسلامك ريليف على بعض الحالات اللي موجوده في بنغلاديش.
A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to be in Bangladesh. This trip was one of many, as we respond to the urgent needs of our Rohingya brothers and sisters. Our team was sent to assess and monitor the situation. Walking through the camp, you witness their heartbreaking condition. It's impossible to put yourself in their shoes. Just a short while ago, these same people were forced to leave their homes, crossing through dangerous waters on their own, and the fear of death all around them. Now over 800,000 people reside in a tiny place called Cox's Bazar, fighting for their survival. A place they call home, made out of sticks and tarp. I had the chance to hear their stories when I was there. We spoke to a father who told us how he escaped, carrying his 2 children on his back. It took him 20 days to get to Cox's Bazar. He lost his wife in the fire that burnt his house down.
हम बहुत खुश हुए अपने भाई देखो हम आपके साथ हैं, हम आपके साथ हैं। देखो पूरी दुनिया जो है आपके साथ है, तो आप फिक्र न करें। इंशाल्लाह ये बच्चे जो है हमारे बच्चे हैं, हाँ, ये आपके बच्चे नहीं, ये हमारे बच्चे हैं, हाँ। तो इंशाल्लाह यानी पूरी दुनिया जो है साथ में है और पूरी दुनिया जो है आपकी मदद के लिए है, हाँ। सबसे बेहतरीन और सबसे ताकतवर उनकी दुआ है अल्लाह ताला की है, ये काबिल कबूल है।
There are thousands of others who have lost someone, with no one to care for them. But we can help change that. Islamic Relief is on the ground, providing life-saving aid, food, and necessities for families most in need. These are the people that need your support. Help us put a smile on the faces of these children by building a future for those most in need and bringing back hope for those who have lost everything. Let us not forget them as the world has forgotten them. Donate today.
صاعق يعني.
شفت انت الخيم كيف جنب بعض، والحالات والحالة الأب اللي قاعد يبكي، يعني شو صار فيه.
أنا بدي أحكي الله يعطيكم ألف عافية، يعني وجودكم على الأرض، يعني اللي شفنا الابتسامة لبعض الأشخاص ولو بشيء بسيط لكنها قد تغير حياة أطفال وحياة أسر. بدي أعطيك في النهاية كلمة توجهها لجمهورنا إذا حابب قبل ما نستضيف الضيف الجديد.
الله يبارك فيكم. يعني زي ما بقولوا، يعني ال picture speaks of 1,000 words and video speaks of a million. يعني هذا بدي لخص مربط الفرس، لخص الموضوع. أتمنى من إخوتنا المشاهدين إنه كلهم يحاولوا يساعدوا إخوانهم وأخواتهم الروهينجا في داخل طبعا في بورما، لأنهم برضو مهجرين وللأسف مضطهدين، وفي البنغلاديش بكل ما بيستطيعوا، تبرع، كتابة، بلوجينج، supporting البيتيشن، supporting تواصلات مع الحكومة. في أكثر من طريقة، في كثير منظمات يعني للدفاع عن الروهينجا ارتفقوا فيها، ساعدوها. الحمد لله البرلمان الكندي طبعا اعترف كليا انه قضيه الروهينجا هي فعلا قضيه تطهير عرقي، وادان الحكومه البرميه عن هذا الموضوع. باذن الله يعني هذا رسالتي للمشاهدين. ارجوكم لا تنسوا اخوان لكم بعانوا في مشارق الارض ومغاربها منها الروهينجا. ساعدوهم، ادعوا لهم، وقفوا معهم، واذا مش قادرين تعملوا شيء ساعدونا احنا ان شاء الله بنساعدهم باذن الله.
ان شاء الله. اسلاميك ريليف موقعهم سهل جدا، اسلاميك ريليف canada.org او islamicrelief.ca، سهل جدا، ممكن تتبرع عن طريقهم. ضيفنا القادم حيكون رئيس تيمونغ، هو احد الروهينجا المقيمين في كندا، وهو ايضا رئيس تنفيذي لمؤسسه روهينجا Children Project او روهينجا Empowerment Project. انت حبيت تحكي شويه عنه قبل ما نستضيفه؟ تفضل.
يعني هو صديق، انا تعاملنا معه في اوتوا اكثر من مره، فبحب يعني ارحب فيه وارحب فيه بالبرنامج. شكرا لاستضافته برضه، واقول انه مؤسسته هي مؤسسه فعلا راقيه وفعلا بتساعد على ارض الواقع. انا جربت، يعني تعاملنا معهم، مؤسسه جيده، مؤسسه طيبه برضه. ارجوكم ادعموها. extreme poverty projects إن شاء الله. هو حيعرف عنها أكثر، بس حبيت إنه يعني أشكره على عمله. I thank you, Rais, for your work, and I also thank your beautiful organization for doing what it's doing towards our brothers and sisters that are actually our children and our people in the Rohingya people in Bangladesh and in Rakhine State. جزاكم الله خير. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yazan, and welcome, Rais. Yazan سيفارقنا للأسف, and I will be accompanied with the Rais to proceed with this episode. Thank you, Yazan.
Salam alaikum.
Salam alaikum. Welcome, Rais. I'm very happy to be with you. Can you tell us? Alaikum assalam. Can you tell us more about yourself?
Jazakallah khair. Before I start, I want to thank you, and I want to thank, mashallah, Brother Yazan and your TV channel for hosting us and for hosting the topic of Rohingya people, of my people. This is, most people do not talk about it. At a certain point in time, they were talking about it, but now that the crisis or the bulk of the crisis is over, it tends to be forgotten. So Jazakallah khair. Thank you for that. My name is Rais Timong, like you mentioned. I am a Rohingya myself. I come from Akyab, the city which is called Situate today, in the province of Arakan, which is called Rakhine today. My parents' villages, they do not exist anymore. They have been burned to the ground as of 2012. And my uncles and aunts' villages, all of them, they have been burned flat. They don't exist in the maps anymore. Alhamdulillah, I'm one of the most privileged Rohingya out there. Allah Ta'ala, brought us here. We live in one of the most beautiful countries in the world, here in Canada. But we have a responsibility, I and people like myself have a responsibility to my people. And I do whatever I can in my capacity to help them. And thanks to people like you.
You started an organization to help the people of Rohingya back home and the refugees. Tell us more about it and the name.
Absolutely. So the organization is called Rohingya Children's Projects. That's the work that I do on the grounds, alhamdulillah. And there's an activism organization called Rohingya Human Rights Network that I lead to raise awareness of the cause. In the awareness raising, we connect with policymakers, from all levels of government, from the federal to provincial, up to even, alhamdulillah, the city governments, to raise awareness and to lobby the people. We also engage with people in academia and civil society organizations. The Rohingya Children Projects, which is also volunteer run, it is an organization based primarily, as a matter of fact, entirely of Rohingya people on the grounds. All of the implementers of the projects, we run some schools and we run vocational training program for women. They're all run and implemented by the refugees themselves. So the idea behind the organization is to have the refugees the power to execute these projects by themselves.
So, Rais, I'm sorry to ask you these questions, but I think most of our audience until now don't know what is the problem. Why historically the government of Myanmar abandoned the Rohingya people. In the Constitution 1982, they even refused to give them citizenship, like they're stateless since then. And the displacement started in the 1970s. However, we as brothers and sisters and Muslim and even humans, we did not hear about that. We did not even think about that. So it's a shame on us, but we need to know more. So can you tell us historically what's happened, why this is happening?
So, mashallah, I saw the videos from Islamic Relief and Brother Yazan's interview. Pictures and videos speak 1,000,000,000 words. So the situation on the ground is pretty apparent from the testimonials themselves. Now, the question of why was very key, because that is not very surfaced in the in the narrative out there. So if if I would take a few minutes to explain it, perhaps the images on the screen would not be required because it could be a distraction. So the historical context is Jazakallah, thank you. So the historical context is based solely on skin color and the religion. It dates back to even earlier than Second World War, even earlier, when part of Myanmar became Muslim, and we are practicing a different faith, which is different from the rest of the Buddhist majority population. Not that they did not coexist. For the longest time, they did coexist. There's actually a very important point in Myanmar's history that's documented where Buddhist kings had amongst their nobles, amongst their lead, advisors, Muslim people. There were Muslim coins that were printed in Myanmar. There's a lot of history of Turkish people in Myanmar as well. So all of that, but slowly, with time, and especially with the British rule, there was this divide and conquer policy and practice, which they did everywhere else, the British. But without putting much blame on the British, the people themselves, they took different paths, and they capitalized on this, especially the politicians capitalized on this division politics, and disenfranchise the people who they did not want to be part of the mainstream, so as to gain their own power. So that is the root behind everything, utilizing the difference in religion, the difference in skin color to totally give away or take away the people from a society where they have lived for centuries. So in 1982, citizenship was not given. That's not the narrative. That's not the reality. The reality is citizenship was revoked. Whatever we had, we were citizens of the country. As a matter of fact, when the British left Myanmar, and we were along with the Buddhists, we fought together to chase them away. Prior to that, in World War II, we were on different sides. We were with the British while the Burmese were with the Japanese. That was also one of the reasons for prolonging that or making stronger that division. But after the British left, we were acknowledged, by the government for uniting with the Buddhists and chasing them away. We had positions in the parliament. We had positions in the cabinet. Among the first women members of parliament of Myanmar was a Rohingya Muslim woman, So we have a lot of history in there, alhamdulillah. But with the recent developments in the last 50 years, where the military took control, and they absolutely wanted to exercise control based on nationalism and based on primarily Buddhist nationalism, they deliberately targeted the Muslims and all other, even the Christians were targeted in a similar way, but not to this extreme as they did to the Muslims, because we are very different, and we are a larger in number compared to the Christian and other minorities. So this is where it goes. Now there is external political influence as well. So maybe you might want to, the viewers may be interested in knowing how China and Russia, and other political powers, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Laos, Cambodia, the countries in that region play a role in this. So those who have Buddhist inclination, like Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, they are on sides with the Burmese Buddhist majority in Myanmar, and so they have less sympathy towards us. But Russia and China, for example, their stake is a lot to do with political power and economic influence in that country. China has the largest economic influence, and they would go with whatever the government narrative is. So if the government in power wants to utilize division politics to take away one group of people and keep their power, China will support that, because that's the government that will bring them money. Also, China will supports them, primarily the military government that's in place, because they have interest in establishing a naval power in the Bay of Bengal. At the moment, the Bay of Bengal is primarily captured, or the presence is Indian Navy, and the U.S. military, the U.S. Navy, conducts exercises along with the Thai Navy as well, and the regional naval powers. China
Clear.
has a smaller role, but now they want to establish that through Myanmar.
Clear. So according to the Amnesty International, the Rohingya people has been subject to human rights violation by the army since 1978. And the UN officials of Human Rights Watch has described Myanmar persecutions of the Rohingya as ethnic cleansing. And the UN Human Rights Envoy of Myanmar reports that the long history of discrimination and persecution against the Rohingya community is to be a criminal against humanity. And there is more and more to speak about that by the Doctors Without Borders, who said some of the world's most persecuted people, the Rohingyas. So tell me more about the status there, how people live in these camps in Myanmar and in Bangladesh.
Absolutely. Doctor, just before things, I just got a notice of low battery charge. I hope.
No worries, no worries. You can charge your phone. I think okay. Anyway, just to let you know that basically the Rohingya people have been described as the one of the world's least wanted minorities. Listen to this sentence: one of the world's least wanted minority and some of the world's most persecuted people. This is according to Doctors Without Border or Médecins Sans Frontières. They claim that the discrimination and human rights challenge with the Rohingya people has faced at the hands of the country's government and military among the world's top 10 most underreported stories of 2007. Brother is with us. So please, we are listening to you. Yep, no worries, no worries. I was telling them some statistic. Go ahead.
So all of that you mentioned from Amnesty International and from Human Rights Watch and from Doctors Without Borders, the United Nations, these are all analysis of what human rights experts in the respective organizations have evaluated or have analyzed our condition to be, and declared their own legal opinion on this. I would argue a few of them that do not stand any kind of credibility in international law, because, for example, ethnic cleansing is a statement as horrible as it is, but it does not stand much ground for prosecution in the court. The most accurate one that actually for which Myanmar has been brought to the International Court of Justice, the top UN court, is on the count of genocide, because the fact of the matter is Myanmar's military and the people of Myanmar have made a systematic effort to absolutely eliminate us from the land and absolutely eliminate us from even the world, from planet Earth. My parents' village does not exist anymore, for example. For the people who are fleeing Myanmar, Rakhine, going to Bangladesh, I can tell you about people that I met with. Every time I go to the refugee camps, I spend about a month in there. I met with people who were shot and their limbs were amputated because they could not save their limbs. They were shot while they were leaving. Why would you do that? It's only because you want to exterminate a group of people. There were babies that were burned alive in front of their parents. There were men who were hacked to death and women who were gang raped, just so that you can instill all that terror and then massacred. So some women witnessed, not some, I can, hundreds of thousands from video testimonials that you will see from all of these, human rights groups that you just named, they witnessed women being raped and then slaughtered. This comes only because of extreme hatred and a desire to exterminate a group of people, completely wipe them out from the face of the earth. The hatred happens because you have propagated that hate. You have really, made that sentiment go so wild on social media and on their news. Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg was in the Senate at one point in time explaining why Facebook had failed to stop the perpetration of hate speech on social media. There were tens of thousands of tweets and posts repeated saying, kill these people so that they can meet Allah faster, stuff pig into their mouth and throw them in the river. So these kinds of things were tens of thousands of times documented and actually shared on their social media posts. And Facebook didn't do anything. So that's a different story, but it's because of that hate, that level of hate, that you want to go and rape some woman and then kill them and kill their babies right in front of you. This all happens when you really want to commit a genocide. So that would be my answer to that. And regarding the situation on the ground, you have seen some videos. I can talk about some testimonials. They are very disturbing in nature. If you would like to hear, I could share them with you, some of them.
It is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. And the situation, as we understood, it's one of the worst ever situation for any refugee camps in the world, especially the one you spoke about recently. Most crowded, people get whipped after the rains. And just give us some hints, how is the situation in the camps?
Absolutely. So Dr. Jamal, there is one thing as living condition, which is very pathetic, as you have seen from the videos. But there's another thing as mental condition, which is not very apparent. So imagine all these people who have witnessed their loved ones, hacked to death, burned alive, their mothers or their fathers that they were carrying, trying to rescue, but they were shot dead in front of them. Imagine all the mental trauma that they're living with. So this is one thing that's not very much spoken about, but it's a reality of the people on the grounds. The condition that is very apparent is dire. Not much needed to say, but education is almost zero to none. A few, multinational organizations, they provide some sort of education for primary children, and that is within the bounds of what Bangladeshi government has permitted. So mashallah, organizations like Islamic Relief, the large NGOs, they have established some schoolings for children, but because the Bangladeshi government limits what you can do and what you cannot do with large sums of money, primarily because Bangladesh does not want us to stay on their soil forever. So they want to limit all these amenities. And so that also is another human rights violation that we go through while we are living in the refugee camps. The women are targets of sex trafficking. As horrible as it sounds, it is a reality on the ground. These women, the majority of the population, 70% of the population, according to UNHCR statistics, are women and children. Majority of our men have been massacred. And so the vast majority is women and children. Out of the 70%, they say about 300,000, which is 30%. The population of the camps is about 1 million people, 1.1 million people. So around 350,000 is estimated the number of children. And the remainder in that 70%, about 400,000 who are women and young girls, they are target of sex trafficking and human trafficking. The Bangladeshi population or those people in the Bangladeshi criminal group, they will come and exploit, take away the women and put them into brothels in order to take advantage of them. The children are without a future. There is drugs trafficking as well. There's lots of vice that happens when people are in the most neglected position, but that is the reality on the ground today.
So what do you do there? What is your organization trying to change on the ground? Because again, the most important is to help people on the ground, as you said, physically and mentally.
Absolutely, Chef. On the grounds in Myanmar, which is where the root cause is, unfortunately, there isn't much activity that we are conducting. We used to have a few small-scale operations, some schools that we were also running, but they have been halted because of further restrictions from the military. By the way, there are some IDP camps, internally displaced person camps inside Myanmar, which are, akin to concentration camps. People are being experimented over. They are sold into human trafficking boats from inside over there. And unfortunately, there isn't much activity that any NGO out there for that purpose are able to conduct. So I must acknowledge my failure in that respect. However, in the refugee camps, we have activities that are very much focused on the self-sustainment of the people. So my people, more than need for food and water, I personally believe they need that dignity, that confidence, that ability to stand up on their feet, look in their children's eyes and say, I have a hope for future for my children because they are getting quality education. A mother who can come back home and say, look, I have earned something with my own hands. It's not that I'm waiting for an NGO to come and give me some food. Every human being deserves that dignity and that respect, So we are working on that at a very small scale. So the advantage of a small organization like ours is we could be a little bit below the radar. We are not flagged for running our schools that are absolutely run by the refugees on the grounds. And vocational training programs that are absolutely purely run by the refugees on the grounds, so that they can feel that sense of empowerment. Alhamdulillah.
Let's watch the first video. I know that you prepared some for us to speak about what you are doing, and maybe you can tell us more about it.
Sure.
Greetings from the largest refugee camp in the world, which is the Rohingya refugee camps in Bangladesh. We are in a place where no other NGO is present. It is the 0 point. It's in between Myanmar and Bangladesh. The only NGO that is present is ITRC, and apart from that, no other NGO is allowed. However, thanks to your support, we are able to sustain schools like this where children who do not have a future now have an opportunity to education. This is a kindergarten class being conducted in Burmese that you'll take a look.
Are you with us, brother?
Yes, I'm right here.
Yeah.
So
your picture is frozen, but it's okay. As we hear your voice, go ahead.
Beautiful. So this video clip is from my last visit to the refugee camps. It's, as a matter of fact, in between Bangladesh and Burma. It's called the 0 point, right at the border.
Which is the most dangerous place.
Yes. This is in between Myanmar and Bangladesh. Zero land. It's called no man's land. There are a few thousand refugee settlements over there. Most NGOs do not go there because legally they do not have jurisdiction. However, we are on the grounds because we are very small and we can go, like I was mentioning to you, we have that capacity to be flexible. We are running schools in there, primary schools mainly. There is no secondary school in that camp. In the other ones there are. And they provide from basic, Burmese and mathematics to English, sciences, and all of the education that you would normally get while you were in Burma in a school.
Yeah, the children is the future of this nation, so you have to be very careful with education. You need to give them at least what they can get to carry on after. I hope everything will be back to norm. What else you are doing on the ground?
So just to touch base on that, children, I find it important to connect that to how you would take care of your own children. For example, there's one thing, a lot of times what happens when you are in the humanitarian work is that there's this disconnect. People just give, and they are, alhamdulillah, they give out of generosity, but they would give, and then there's still a disconnect because you don't see them, you're not there, you know. But imagine you give something away, and that's not utilized in a fashion where it will really impart knowledge into the children, you know, where you have a formal education system where you're learning mathematics and sciences, just like how you'd like your own children to learn. Because like you said, if they are not educated, then there is no future. And that's what we are trying to fulfill, that gap, because NGOs out there are not allowed to offer formal education as per Bangladeshi laws. We are not supposed to acquire formal education. So our organization is supporting people or you know, projects that are run grassroots by the people inside the camps. You know, over there, the Bangladeshi government cannot come in and say, no, you're not allowed to do something inside by yourselves. The NGOs are not able to do, let's say. But we ourselves, we don't say that, we don't claim that, hey, we are running the school, but it's they who are running the school, the real heroes on the ground, the people inside the camps. They are running the schools, and we are offering them some financial and material support in order to carry on. So alhamdulillah, that's our big impact in education.
We have another video from the schools. We're gonna watch it together, inshallah. So this was a school, yes?
Absolutely. It is a classroom from the group of schools. We've got, alhamdulillah, we run 3 different schools in 3 different camps. And this is one of the classrooms in the schools. It's a very beautiful project.
Yeah.
Apart from this, we run some women's empowerment project, which you were asking me about. And this is primarily to prevent or to, you know, to dissuade the gravitation or the attraction of some of our sisters, waliyadu billah, into areas of sex trafficking, because they are so vulnerable. They fall into those preys, and in order to prevent that, we give them the tools to self-sustain by themselves, you know, instead of being in such desperate condition that they would go with wherever they are being, you know, invited for a little bit of money. So this program trains the sisters for 6 months to do traditional sewing by themselves. And at the end of the program, we give each of them a hand sewing machine, a manual sewing machine, which you can run by pedal, you know, or even by your hand crank. And then you use that to earn a living by yourself. You go and get some orders from the nearby villagers, Bangladeshi villagers, and you make a small bit of money with which you can support your children and the rest of your family, because there's nobody else who can do that support. So the beauty of this is it's all run again by the refugees themselves. And it is an empowerment program in itself, because the mother can come back home and say, I have earned this with my own hands. You know, I am proud to earn this, and the children will have that confidence and that courage to go and look forward to do the same. Otherwise, they are in this perpetual cycle of thinking that we are incapable, we are always dependent on others, and we cannot help ourselves. No, that is not the case. We are trying to break that, alhamdulillah, and this is a type of program that helps with that.
So basically, you give them the rope and you tell them how to fish, not to give them a fish a day.
Absolutely, sir. That's exactly the idea.
We have a small video about this program, so we can watch it together, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and taqabbal Allahu minna wa minkum this blessed month of Ramadan. from the largest refugee camp in the world, which is the Rohingya refugee camps. I'm sure, brothers and sisters, you know what happened to the Rohingya people. They burned half of our villages, they hacked to death our elderly, they burned our children alive, and they gang raped our women, only because we say the kalima la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. In this heinous act of genocide, they did the most unimaginable things possible. About 1.2 million people now live in the largest refugee camp in the world. After this happened, our organization, Be a Mercy Foundation, did from relief work to humanitarian aid in long-term projects, in education, in community empowerment, and women's empowerment. One such program on women's empowerment is a vocational training program that I will invite you to inside. Please take a look into what our sisters are doing with the help of your support. Jazakumullah khair. The sisters that you just saw inside, some of them have lost their husbands, some of them have lost their parents, some of them have been victims of rape. Your support, my brothers and sisters, gives them a hope to earn a living with dignity by themselves, to provide for their children. This month of Ramadan, it's not only about food and water, but it's about support, it's about long-term help. Give in the name of Allah Ta'ala to Be a Mercy Foundation so that we can support these programs and let our sisters earn with dignity a living. Allah barik fikum. May Allah Ta'ala multiply your efforts and your donations several times for what you do. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
It is more than amazing what you are doing on the ground, brother, because you are supporting the most vulnerable part of the society, which is women and children, and that is very important to help our brothers and sisters in the Rohingyas camps. Questions, very fast questions. I have one asking how we can help. Can you tell us how they can donate, where they can go?
Absolutely, sir. So Jazakallah for this beautiful question, and we are always in need of support. The financials are, for a very small organization, it is a big hurdle. RohingyaChildren.com is our website. You can go in there, and there is an area for donate. You could utilize that and contribute. I promise you that 100% of the funds that we raise, they go exclusively to the grounds. We are all volunteers in the organization, including myself. Any kind of fees that is incurred for transmission and sending bank fees, etc., I cover by myself. Some of the volunteers cover by themselves. Everything goes to the ground. So that's one important thing to note. Apart from that, my brother, I would or sister, I would suggest, I would really request that you raise awareness of this. It doesn't cost any money. It doesn't cost anything. But talk about it. Mention about it to your policymakers. Talk about it amongst your circles. We are the Palestine of the East. We are very often forgotten, but the Ummah is bleeding from all ends. Even today we have Palestine. At the same time, we have the Uyghur people, and we also have a situation in Myanmar, which is my people. So if we do not talk about it, people forget, and it goes nowhere. So please talk about it. Talk about it to your policymakers. Share it on social media. It goes a long way. Without awareness, nothing happens.
I have many people who's writing hearts and great jobs, and may Allah give you all the strength and protection. I would like to put all that on the screen. But again, with all these important words, with all dua, we also need to help our brothers and sisters at these kind of organizations, because as mentioned before, 100% of the donation goes directly to people in need. And I hope we can place a trust in them. They are putting their life, their monies, and at risk just to deliver these donation. There is a questions about the tax receipts in Canada. Are you charitable status? Can you send tax receipts if somebody give any donation?
Yes, sir. We are a charitable organization, and we submit our papers to Revenue Canada. Our bank statements are also public, and yes, we issue tax receipts. So everything is transparent over here. I can share with you everything, but for the question of tax receipt, it's a very simple one. Every time you contribute, me and my volunteers, we prepare our tax receipts and we send them your way.
Before I leave you, Rais, there is a testimonial I would like to show for people. It's a 30-second about the last program you spoke about for vocal trainings for our sisters. So if you would like to speak about it after we saw the video.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Anna wallah haladabagan ken teror. Ana je taran ki haskomogan gara haskomoyan gorira se ana gorbari salatteri ana huzendere halitteri ar huzendere shikkatay goratteri. Je taran ki dia tar Allah azza wa salam azza wa shukriya. Ar dabuli please je taran ki asetar Allah azza wa dua azza wa shukriya.
I think this is very important testimonial. I'm very impressed with the work and you are doing on the ground with almost zero admin fees. It's a great job. Rais, your last words to our audience and to people who are watching now live and later maybe on YouTube.
I want to thank everybody who has taken the time to watch and listen to my and Brother Yazan's sharing, and thank you to you as well, sir, for hosting this. Please do stay tuned and talk about what is happening to the oppressed people, no matter in what part of the world, because without speaking about it, it gets forgotten, and it never gets people remain oppressed. And they remain forgotten. So please do speak, do contribute whatever you can. No contribution is small. Make a contribution. If it is to Islamic Relief, do it to Islamic Relief. Any large organization that portrays the Islamic, alhamdulillah, the image that we are able to be out there and be at par with the large Red Cross and the World Vision, Oxfam, the other non-Islamic organizations. Alhamdulillah, Islamic Relief is out there doing this great work. So do contribute to them. And if you would like to do something really on the grounds to empower people directly without any admin costs, then we will be more than glad to take support from you, because we are in need of funds. So Jazakallah for your monetary support and for your vocal support. And the best Jazakallah, the best du'as come from the people on the grounds. There's nothing more powerful than that. It's their du'as that will inshallah give barakah in my life and yours as well, inshallah.
I personally would like to thank you for everything you said and done during the last years about the Rohingya issue. I admit that many people forgotten brothers and sisters in Rohingya, but inshallah we will never forget them again. This is our duties, because human rights issues, as you said, in Rohingya or in Palestine are the same. Violation of human rights is not acceptable anywhere. I just want to remind everybody that if you would like to donate to this very great organization, the address or the website is on the screen. By the end, I would like to just remind you with some facts that the Rohingya are denied freedom of movement as well the right of higher education. They have been denied of their citizenship and stripped their citizenship since 1982. Rohingya can't enlist in the army or the government, and they are facing potential illegal immigrations, as they count them foreigners now in Myanmar. They are not allowed to travel without official permission. They are required to sign commitments not to have more than 2 children. They are subject to routine forced labor, and the Rohingya also can't have their own lands. the destruction of properties and forced relocation to another countries, and lastly, and the most disturbing, the physical and sexual violence against women and children from Rohingya sisters and children. These are disturbing facts, but they are real, and we have to open our eyes, open our ears, and make dua and make donation to help them. At the end, I would like to thank Yazan and Rais to be with me today on this important issue, and I hope we will fix this issue soon, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Inshallah ta'ala. Jazakallah khair.
في
Assalamu alaikum.
47 دولة حول العالم وفي أشد الأحوال صعوبة كانت الإغاثة الإسلامية في قلب الحدث. وصلنا إلى أكثر من 120 مليون إنسان مستحق لتبرعاتكم. نحظى بدعم الحكومات المانحة وكبرى وكالات الأمم المتحدة. تبرع الآن للإغاثة الإسلامية عبر العالم. زكاتك سعادة.